back, everyone, to another video. I'm DK.
And I'm Sharkman.
So, I have a lot of notes on this for.
How many notes do you have for the third movie?
I haven't made any yet.
Oh yeah, I haven't. Okay.
So I have a lot to say about Prince Caspian. So we're gonna do a two-parter for this. It might not be as much as I think I'm gonna say, but
yeah,
it's better safe than sorry because I don't want you guys to have such a long episode. I know the last one was really long, so I apologize for that. To set the stage for age-wise, Prince Caspian, the book, the characters, Peter is 14, Susan is 13, Edmund is 11, and Lucy is 9, and Caspian would have been 13 in the,
He would have been the same age as Susan.
Yeah. So, in the 1989 version of Prince Caspian, which is the original, Jean-Marc Perret, I think is how you say his last name, who played Prince Caspian, was 15.
It's also the shortest out of the
it really is.
has the fewest episodes.
It's not even an hour.
Yeah, it's like 59 minutes or something like that.
Sophie Wilcox returns as Lucy. She's 14. Sophie Cook is 15. She played Susan. Richard
all of
Dempsey.
them pretty much return. All the characters from the original, one original wardrobe cast comes back pretty much.
Yeah, Richard Dempsey, who played Peter, is 16. Jonathan Scott, who played Edmund, is 16 years old.
Are they friends? Really good friends?
Who?
The Peter, the guy who plays Peter and
I don't know. Maybe, I have no clue.
They were really close in age.
Yeah, they are. So, the original cast returned for Prince Caspian. Georgie, who played Lucy, is 13. Anna, who played Susan, is 19 or 20. Again, can't find how old when she was born. Skander, who played Edmund, is 17. William, who played Peter, is 21. And Ben Barnes, who played Caspian, is 28.
At the time of the movie being recorded and stuff?
When they were making the movie. When they were making the movie. So, in the original Prince Caspian, it opens up, I'm pretty sure, I think it opens up with the 4 Pevensies who are about to leave because the war's over, so they're about to leave and go back. They're going to different places.
I forget where Peter's going, but I'm pretty sure Susan is going to America, and then Edmund and Lucy are heading off to stay with their cousin Eustace.
Yep. Which they're talking about how they're upset about it because Eustace is a brat and they don't like that part of the family because they're really rich and everything.
That part of the family doesn't like them either. So
yeah, so that's how that one opened up. The Prince Caspian, the remake opens up with Prince Caspian sleeping and his professor or his mentor wakes him up and helps him to escape because his uncle, who is the
it's a Lion King situation where his uncle basically wants to have the throne and wants to kill Caspian.
So he has an heir.
Yeah, so he has an heir.
He's waiting until he had an heir.
And then once he has his heir, he tries to kill
Caspian.
Caspian escapes. He sends his men or whatever after Caspian. Caspian flees into what are the woods called? I forget what they call the woods exactly, but there's a specific name for those woods. So he flees into the woods. They chase after him. He gets hit by a branch and falls off the horse. He gets dragged for a couple feet, and then whatever. They're right behind him. The dwarves find him. Well, 2 dwarves. 2 of the dwarves find him.
Trumpkin and
Nickabrick. I think Nickabrick goes after the soldiers.
Trumpkin goes after the soldiers. Nickabrick
I thought
hits him in the face.
I thought Nickabrick was the one who... Yo, you're right. Nickabrick hits him in the face.
Trumpkin gets captured.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. No, you're right. Caspian is knocked out, wakes up. Wait, am I missing? Is Skipping Park? Because I feel like it was Skipping Park.
Because he gets knocked out by Nickabrick.
He blows the horn, then Nickabrick knocks him out. Then it cuts back to the real world where they're in London with Susan, Lucy, Peter, and Edmund getting ready to leave for wherever they're going.
Peter gets into a fight.
Edmund, like a good brother would, helps his brother out by, it kind of helps. Tries to help, fight off the guys that are beating him up because these guys, not bumped Peter, tried to make him apologize for it, and that's how the fight started.
Mm-hmm.
And then soldiers come in, break up the fight, which I don't know about you, but I would be really mad at that soldier, probably, mainly because of, not in the moment or whatever, but I would be mad at that guy. Anyway, so they break up the fight, they go sit on a bench, they talk a little bit about how they're kind of frustrated that they're not calling him back yet because it's been like a year since the last movie happened, which makes sense because
and, like, Peter's
which is actually
we're gonna talk about the characters themselves later on, but I have to say this: Peter is such a jerk in this movie that because he is a king in Narnia, and he was a king, and they stayed in Narnia for a while in the line which
they were like in their 20s, like when they stay there for a while.
He has this high and mighty attitude, like he's above everybody else. It really gets on my nerves, and I really wanted to punch him.
I think
because Edmund helped him, and he's like, "I had it sorted. You didn't have to jump in." Kind of attitude. I'm like, he saved your butt.
Anyways, so so they talk about how, because it's been a year, at least story-wise, this has been a year since the last movie happened. So they're back in the real world, and stuff. They want to go back. They're, Peter's obviously being a crybaby about how they're not calling him back yet. Whatever. They're talking about it, this, that, and the other. Then somehow, I forget who gets pinched first, but I think it was Peter. No, yeah, you're right. Lucy gets pinched. So, whatever, for some reason, because of the wind or whatever. Then the train starts going by and they get teleported back to Narnia via train station somehow. Because cave, whatever.
They appear in a cave that's outside.
And they end up on the beach near Cair Paravel, which is where they were ruling. And they end up basically having some fun before Edmund realizes that, somewhat realizes, before they actually officially realize that Cair Paravel has been destroyed. He makes the statement that there weren't any ruins in Narnia last time they were there, obviously, because, nothing had been destroyed, really, up to that point. So, then what they do is they cut to them having the meeting, like, King, whatever his name is, having the meeting with his subjects about whatever. Him being king, Narnia,
they're told, They're okay.
Because of the Taliban castle. Then it cuts to the meeting room where they discuss Caspian going missing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but nobody knows Miraz was trying to kill him, and also, that. Okay, so in both, they're told that Narnians went extinct, or they don't exist anymore. And then in the remake, they bring in Trumpkin, who was captured because he went against the soldiers.
Yep.
To show that they're still alive,
yep.
And they are trying to plan to go and kill the rest of the Narnians, who are gathering deep in the woods to stay away from them and trying to get ready for the queens and kings of old to come back, which are the Pevensies. In the original, opens up with Prince Caspian doing some fencing, and he looks like he has a good relationship with Miraz and Miraz.
That's how that's how everybody else pronounces it. So
it's not like his professor mentor, and the mentor, he actually is half
dwarf,
but nobody knew about it. Somehow he hid it for a long time, and he had been telling Prince Caspian in both versions tales of Narnia, of the tales of the old kings and queens, and how they had
defeated the White Witch
and stuff. And
his like a jerk in the original too.
Oh yeah,
She's more of a jerk in the original than like the remake. Like the remake, she wasn't. She was still a jerk, but she wasn't like as much of a jerk as she was in. Because it's kind of funny because it's like the roles were reversed in because in the remake it's Miraz that's the like more of the jerk, and then the original it's like the queen or whatever, and Miraz is kind of more like nice to Caspian at first. You know what I mean? It's weird.
So they leave. Well, actually, okay, never mind. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Prince Caspian that night, there are fireworks going off. His tutor, mentor, wakes him up and helps him leave. Oh my goodness, I can't remember.
I forget his name, but
Dr. Cornelius.
Yeah.
He helps him leave. In the middle of the night while they're celebrating them. Miraz had a son, because like in both, they're waiting until he has an heir to kill Caspian so he can take over the throne.
Right.
And so Prince Caspian leaves. The way he meets the dwarves is that he had ridden his horse far away, and a storm comes, and his horse spooks because of thunder. He falls on the ground, passes out, and the dwarves and the badger Trufflehunter.
Who's a female in that one? Which
in the original, yeah.
Is it a female in the book, or does it not specify? Is it? So then, why did they do a guy for the?
It just made more sense.
I don't know. It was weird that they did a dude for the remake. I don't know. It was weird.
So yeah, and then and so the first 20-25 minutes of the movie is Prince Caspian learning more about the Narnians and meeting more Narnians and getting to a place where they can hide out, which is as the stone table where the stone table had been. I forgot what the place is called.
And as usual, Nick Brick wants to kill Caspian because he's a grumpy dwarf.
And Trumpkin actually is with them throughout this whole thing instead of being captured. Okay, so and Prince Caspian doesn't even blow the horn until they get to the place. Yeah,
it's pretty different.
And then that's when they are the way they have it. It looks like they're astral projecting, where they're sitting there, but it's free, they're frozen in time, to be brought into Narnia, where they're at Cair-Paravel. And
just like in the remake, they get spawned into near Cair-Paravel, and then they finally realize eventually that Cair-Paravel got attacked. Cair-Paravel got attacked, and that's why it looks all broken up and ancient or whatever.
Yep.
And then
Prince Caspian sends Trumpkin to retrieve them to bring them back to the stone table.
Right.
So he does. He goes and leaves. He is not a believer of Aslan or the kings and queens of old. So
he thinks they're just ridiculous stories.
Yeah. So two different openings and how they meet.
Yep.
And stuff.
Yep. Yeah. And then after they do that, then it cuts to Trumpkin almost getting killed because of drowning, and that's
he was
when
ordered to be drowned.
Right, and then that's when Peter, Edmund, Susan, and Lucy show up and they save Trumpkin from drowning and kill one of the soldiers. In the original, Trumpkin gets captured
he runs
during his journey to retrieve them. He gets captured in the original rather than him already being captured and but the end goal is the same because they're both not end goal, but the outcome is the same because they're still trying to kill Trumpkin, and he gets saved by Susan and all them.
Yeah.
So
he doesn't believe, and when he meets them in both, he doesn't believe that they're the
kings
awaited
and
ones
old.
because they're children.
And
in each one, he fights Edmund. The only difference is they have epic music in the remake. In Trumpkin uses Peter's sword
instead of him using his spear or whatever it is that he uses, like the scythe, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's a scythe actually.
In the original, he uses the scythe, and there's no music.
Yeah.
It's just them fighting.
Yep.
So.
As for where. So does Edmund use Peter's sword in the original since he didn't have a sword? Or did he just find some random sword in the treasury?
I think...
Or where they had their
That's
stuff?
A good question.
Because he just whips out a sword. Because he just whips out a sword, fights, and then it disappears when they go to save Caspian.
But he must
so
have
it's weird.
He must have just taken a sword.
Yeah, it must have.
Because in both, he has just a random sword.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's the same sword he used in the first movie. Because it's short. Because it's a short... Yeah, so it has... I don't know. I was just curious because like he just whips out a sword and then it just disappears when they go to say Caspian and they meet Aslan or whatever, and then it reappears later. So it's like consistency doesn't make sense. Anyway.
Right.
Anyway, so they meet Trumpkin. They head off to where Caspian and the others are, and
now, Lucy sees Aslan. Both times.
They don't believe her, obviously, because except for Edmund, but that's because he didn't believe her once, and then he turned out to be wrong, and so whatever.
They both times they run into the bad guys.
Yeah. So they run into the bad guys. They fight for a little bit.
No, they don't fight.
No,
they sneak away.
Oh, you're right. No, they sneak away. You're right.
And but again, Peter should like in
fight. I'm sorry, I got confused.
In the remake again,
mm-hmm.
Peter is such a jerk.
Anyway, well, Susan's not that much better, but...
Yeah, they're like, so where do you think that you saw Aslan? But in the original, he's like so kind to Lucy, and it's like, I'm sorry, Luce, that I didn't believe you. That's the closest that we've ever come that you could have said, I told you so.
Yeah.
And so they go across the gorge where she saw Aslan. And
except for in the original. The original, they headed towards where the stone table was originally, and then they meet Aslan in the original. That's how it was. It's because they sneak away in the bushes. And the original, and then, but
and that's when Trumpkin sees Aslan for the first time.
Yeah, and then Aslan makes him float and drops him.
And Lucy and Susan stay with Aslan, while the three guys head off to where
Caspian and
them are. The place where Caspian and them are.
Yeah, because it turns out Caspian is being double-crossed by Nickabrick because Nickabrick betrayed them by aligning with, I'm assuming it's the dead witch or whatever.
Witch and Maugrim.
And dead Maugrim, but like zombie Maugrim, I guess, because they're like back. I don't know.
Yeah,
somehow
I forgot the way that
that's what I liked about the remake is that they didn't bring Nickabrick back because it wouldn't have made much sense because he's a werewolf. He's not like a vampire or whatever that he just like come back to life or whatever. Yeah. So it made sense that in the remake they had a different werewolf to play. You know what I mean? It just made more sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then so they go off. They help find Caspian. Yeah. And then the remake they didn't do that. In the remake. Caspian in the remake, Peter and
the
Caspian
would have come back is she needed blood from a human.
No, that's not what I meant. I was talking about like when they go when they head I was talking about in the remake after they sneak away. Okay, sorry. So they sneak away. They stop for the night. Lucy has a dream where she's walking through the woods and the trees are back to being alive. Well, they're still alive, but like back to being like more lively or whatever.
She does have the dream in both movies, but this one's different.
She meets Aslan. Aslan, says something. She wakes up, sneaks away. At least this is in the remake. She sneaks away. She comes across a Minotaur. Is that the half man, half bull, or half cow? I think. So she finds one of those. Peter sneaks up behind her, which is probably the biggest jump scare ever in these movies. Sneaks up behind her, whatever, and then him and Caspian fight. not realizing that Peter and them are here to help, because that's just how Caspian is, because Caspian's a moron. And the reason I say he's a moron is because they don't look anything like the soldiers. They don't have the soldier like outfits and stuff. You would think.
Yeah, and I can understand why Peter would try to kill the Minotaur, because
they didn't have, because the Minotaurs were on the witch's side.
They were the enemy in the last movie, but the whole thing about them fighting each other, but also, again, Peter showing you such a jerk of a guy acting like he's so high and mighty over all of them, like he's in charge, like he doesn't listen, like it just, I don't know, he gets under my skin.
He has the title of High King Peter.
Okay, but a good king also listens to subordinates, and like especially when he hasn't been there for a long time.
True.
He needs guidance of what's going on.
True, but as I explained to you, a good reason possibly could be is because he is technically older. In a sense, I'm not saying you can get what I mean, right? He's older, right? Technically, in lore, as far as like, because they're old, the kings and queens of old, right? So he's technically older than Caspian. So because Caspian is still technically a kid, quote unquote, and I say quote because Ben Barnes is not a kid. When at the time of making it, so he's whatever. So it could just be his older brother instincts kicking, instincts, quote unquote, kicking in.
But he treats Caspian horribly. That's
that's why he thinks he needs to take the leadership role, is because he is a high king. So he feels like he needs to be respected by someone who's a prince. You know what I mean? But I get what you mean.
My argument is.
I am not defending him.
My argument is that if that was the case, he would treat others with a kinder demeanor. Especially the reason that he's like that is like he's been like that since the beginning of the movie. Of like.
I agree. I am not defending him. I am trying to rationalize why he probably feels this way, at least towards Caspian. Why he would feel this way, because think about it, he's supposed to be an old ancient king who's getting talked down to by a prince who is like way younger than him, at least.
How is he being talked down to?
Okay, let me explain.
Yeah, tell me.
No, I mean, like, I'm talking, like, let me finish explaining what I was saying. So, like Susan said, she's like a few centuries older than Caspian, right? Which means that Peter is at least, how many centuries is she supposed to be?
She said 1400 years older than him.
Okay, so like centuries. So Peter being old, and since Peter's older than Susan, he is like even more so older than Caspian. So Caspian, because here's the thing, in the beginning when Caspian came in, all hot stuff, like fighting him, that's what I mean, in that scene specifically, when Caspian came in, thinking he was all hot stuff, all that stuff, fighting Peter, without even, asking where he came from, that's what I mean, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Peter drew first on a different person, and then Caspian came in with
protect him.
With more.
He came in to protect him. He came in.
I don't care.
He was.
What I don't. I get your point. I get your point. I get your point. I get your point. But you also have to remember that Peter was also protecting his sister. Because his sister was in danger from the mine.
But does it matter?
It's a misunderstanding.
Yes,
it's the point. It's a misunderstanding, and I think, I don't know, it's hard because their personalities are the same. And when two people that have the same personality, when their personalities are the same, they clash a lot. Yeah. And so it kind of.
Which is why.
I mean, take you and me for example. You and I, for example, you and my personality are very similar, and while we do get along most of the time, we still have arguments. Yes. I feel it's the same way with them. They both have really, what's the word? Leader energy. They both are really strong leader energy vibes, and so I feel like because of that, they both feel dominant, and because they both have a dominant personality, they feel like one is like a rivalry more so. not really done really well, obviously, but like it's more like a rivalry, so they feel like they have to outdo each other in some way, otherwise they're not gonna be, you know, in control, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
I am not saying Peter is written well, and I am not saying that I like Peter, and I am not saying whatever. Because to be honest, I don't like either one of them. Because I think Ben Barnes. Like, I love Ben Barnes. Don't get me wrong. I like Ben Barnes. I like his acting. I like his acting in some other movies that we've seen, because I feel like we've seen a couple other movies that he was in. I do like him as an actor. Do not get me wrong. But, and this is a pretty big but, this is my beef with him, and why I despise Prince Caspian in the movie so much, at least the remake. Okay, I get he's supposed to be a kid, he's supposed to be playing a kid, cool, whatever. You made him the whiniest, most annoying character, hissy fit character of all time.
Agreed.
That's why I don't like him. I don't like his character. I think he was written too whiny. He didn't, like, he was just too whiny. Peter was too headstrong. Susan was too in love, I guess.
No,
I don't know,
she was too
smitten.
No, she wasn't even smitten. She was too. She and Peter have the same attitude the whole movie.
She had a thing for him. That's what I'm saying.
Not really. He had more of a thing for her until the very end, and then she
had Google eyes for him like the entire time. Like, she was sticking out for him the whole time. Like, you can't deny that there wasn't some stuff that maybe she didn't show as much until the end, but you could see it.
Love story in the original.
Point is, Caspian stinks, Peter stinks, Susan stinks. Like,
yeah,
I don't care. I don't like characters that have, especially Peter and Caspian's energy. The whole dominant thing. I don't like characters who think they're better than one character.
They seem narcissistic. That's what it's like. It feels
Peter
like
seems narcissistic, but you can't deny Caspian also seems narcissistic, because Caspian,
at least in the remake, in the original,
obviously
nothing like that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why Prince Caspian, the original Prince Caspian movie, is my second favorite out of all of them, because he was written better. He wasn't as whiny. He and Peter didn't have a rivalry. They both got along. They both respected each other. They both were in equal power. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, Peter
didn't even come and take over. Like, the way they meet Prince Caspian is Peter, Trumpkin, and Edmund come and protect or fight with the witch and the werewolf and Knickerbrick.
And Knickerbrick.
And kill them. And Caspian gets injured in the movie. That's how they meet. There's like 15 minutes left in the movie or the show. So their meeting is so like,
it's a lot better.
They're talking to each other kindly, and like,
it's just better. They just wrote it better.
It was just better. C.S. Lewis, you did a great job writing their characters. Also, you see more development in Susan and Peter in the original. It feels like Peter and Susan in the Prince Caspian remake, they didn't grow at all. Edmund, on the other hand.
It's kind of funny because you focus more on Peter and Susan, and I focus more on Caspian. In the second movie, I always focus on Caspian because Caspian was the one that got. Because I already knew how much of a jerk.
Either.
Yeah, but my point is I think the reason I focus more on Caspian than Susan and Peter than you do is because I kind of already accepted that Peter and them were jerks, and Caspian is, I don't know, Caspian is, how do I put it? Like, I don't know, I feel like you focus too heavily on how bad Peter and Susan are, and I'm focused more on Caspian being the same way. Like, Caspian is the exact same way. Let's just be honest. In the remake, Caspian is the exact same way, same energy, same everything. Different. They come from different worlds, but it's basically the same energy, same everything. So it feels like I don't know. Caspian rubs me more than Peter and them because I've already accepted that they are jerks, and I just can't accept that.
I think the reason why I focus on them is because they're the original 4. Like, and if you continue with the original character, you want to see development of the character. And if you don't see development of the character, it's a horrible character. Because that's not how life goes, you know.
But I'm just saying it's kind of funny because you focus more on those two, and I focus more on the new guy.
The reason it is called Prince Caspian, so yeah, I should focus on him more. Let's talk about him more in the next part, part 2 for Prince Caspian, because we kind of got it pretty long. But yes, we will talk more about the second.
This video was actually shorter than the last video.
It is, but I still have a lot to talk about. Because the new one is so different from the old one. So, we'll see you guys in the second part.